Today our topic of discussion is gestational trophoblastic diseases. So let's start. Gestational trophoblastic diseases are actually the group of diseases arising from trophoblastic tissue, and they actually are the proliferative abnormality of the trophoblast. What's the epidemiology? It occurs in 1 to 1000 in pregnancies, and 80% of them are benign, 15% locally invasive, and 5% metastatic. There are basically three types of gestational trophoblastic diseases: hydatidiform mole, invasive mole, choriocarcinoma, and there are sometimes another type, that is placental site trophoblastic tumor. We will discuss it. First, hydatidiform mole. What's this? Its definition is it is the critically dilated grapes-like chorionic villi with variable trophoblastic proliferation. So what happens? The chorionic villi become cystically dilated and there is variable trophoblastic proliferation, and there are two types of mole. One is complete mole and one is partial mole. First of all, what is complete mole? In complete mole, what happens is there is fertilization of an empty egg by one sperm with reduplication, and what happens is that there is all paternal chromosomes because the egg is empty. So 46XX or 46XY, it is diploid, and there will be all placental villi swollen. All of the placental villi will be swollen, and there is no fetus, cord or amniotic membranes. Because there is no fetus, so these all things will be absent, and there will be 15 to 20% risk to malignant sequelae. And what are the risk factors? The geographic distribution: Southeast Asia is the most common, maternal age greater than 40 years, beta carotene deficiency, vitamin A deficiency, early or late pregnancy, assisted reproductive techniques, previous hydatidiform mole. So if we look at partial mole, we see in partial mole there is fertilization of a single ovum by two sperms at the same time. So there will be ovum, but there will be two sperms at the same time. So there will be paternal component and maternal component also, as compared with this, because it has only paternal chromosome. So it will be a triploid 69XXY. So here all placental villi were swollen, and here some placental villi are swollen. So as there is fetus, so fetus, cord and amniotic membranes are present and here are absent, and it has low risk of progression to malignancy, and its clinical features are similar to threatened, spontaneous or missed abortion, because there is a fetus, either it is non-viable or it is not growing properly. So diagnosis is pathological diagnosis, often made by DNC, dilatation and curettage, and the timing of presentations of these moles are 8 to 24 weeks of gestation, average is 14 weeks. And what will be the clinical features? In the complete mole, there will be pervaginal bleeding, passage of vesicles, and there will be frog pawn appearance, and the patient will sometimes complain that there is something wrong with my pregnancy. There is excessive uterine size for last menstrual period. The correspondence will be high, the uterine size will be high, and it will be increased as compared to the last menstrual period. And the important thing here is, most commonly in these patients there will be theca lutein cyst that will be greater than 6 cm. Patient mostly present with preeclampsia, development of hypertension. If there is development of hypertension less than 20 weeks, so we should think of gestational trophoblast disease. Hyperthyroidism, beta HCG will be greater than 100,000 international units per liter. No fetal heartbeat detected. There will be severe nausea, vomiting, leading to weight loss. So So why there will be hyperemesis gravidarum? Because there is increase in placental tissue. So as there is increase in placental tissue, it will cause increase in rise of HCG and increase nausea and vomiting. What are the complications? Some are local, some systemic. The local are hemorrhage, perforation, pelvic stenosis. The systemic are preeclampsia, DIC, hyperthyroidism. Why hyperthyroidism? Because alpha subunit of HCG is identical with TSH, LH and FSH. So in investigation we see that beta HCG is abnormally very high and increase of 100,000 international units per liter. The diagnostic is ultrasound pelvis. If there will be complete mole, means no fetus, so there will be classic snowstorm appearance due to swelling of villi. If we see, this is the classic snowstorm appearance in which there is swelling of villi. And if the patient has partial mole, means that there will be molar degeneration of placenta with or without fetal anomalies. There will be multiple echogenic regions corresponding to hydropic villi and focal intrauterine hemorrhage. So this is partial hydrated mole. In this we can see this endometrial cavity filled with a partially solid and partially multicystic mass. Focal and echoic spaces can be seen. If we see chest X-ray, it may show metastatic lesions, and lungs are the number one site for malignant gestational trophoblastic neoplasia. What is the treatment? If it presents with less than 12 weeks, we can do suction, curettage can be done, but if greater than 12 weeks, so induction of labor, prostaglandin pessary plus injection oxytocin 10 international units, and if this fails, then surgical evacuation, hysterectomy if patient no longer desires fertility, and we should do rohogram if patient is Rh negative. So prophylactic chemotherapy is proven of no benefit. Prophylactic chemotherapy is proven of no benefit. So chemotherapy for gestational trophoblastic disease we should do if develops after evacuation. So here prophylactic chemotherapy is of no benefit. What is the outcome? 90% successful, but 10% of the patients develop late complications that are invasive mole and choriocarcinoma. What is the follow-up? We should check beta HCG every week until the patient becomes negative 3 times, and contraception is required to avoid pregnancy during the entire follow-up period. Monthly for 6 to 12 weeks prior to conception. If there is increase or plateau of beta HCG, then it indicates gestational trophoblastic neoplasia and the patient needs chemotherapy. There should be contraception for up to 2 years, and the method of choice is barrier method. IUCD or COCP are contraindicated. So gestational trophoblastic neoplasia there are 3 types: invasive mole, choriocarcinoma and placental site trophoblastic tumor. In invasive mole, the diagnosis is made by rising or plateauing beta HCG, development of METs following treatment and documented molar pregnancy, and on histology molar tissue from DNC, but METs are rare, that are 4%. And this placental site trophoblastic tumor, this is very rare aggressive form of gestational trophoblastic neoplasia because there are abnormal growth of intermediate trophoblastic cells and low beta HCG is there, production of human placental lactogen HPL, and relatively insensitive to chemotherapy. So placental site trophoblastic tumor is relatively insensitive to chemotherapy. So if we see choriocarcinoma, choriocarcinoma is an aggressive malignant tumor arising from gestational trophoblastic disease 50% or from gonads or elsewhere, that will be extragonadal teratomas. It can also rise from there. What are the risk factors? Hereditary mole in antecedent pregnancy. Investigation for choriocarcinoma should be done if every persistent per vaginal bleeding after pregnancy, and the risk factor is also Asian race. Clinical features are history of gestational amenorrhea 50% and additional passage of vesicles. Uterine mass will be felt on examination per vaginal bleeding, weight loss and pulmonary mets. And if signs or symptoms suggest hematogenous spreads, so what can be there? There will be lungs. Lungs can be affected 80%. There can be cough, hemoptysis, chest X-ray lesion. In vagina, it can be 30% spread and there can be vaginal bleeding and there are blue lesions on the speculum exam. In pelvis, 20% rectal bleeding and if it invades bowel. In liver, there are chances for 10% and it will show elevated LFTs, ultrasound or CT findings will be there. In brain, 10% and there will be headache, dizziness, seizures, symptoms of space occupying lesions, and on the CT MRI there will be findings. Highly vascular tumor, it is a very highly vascular tumor, bleeding and anemia and all have rising or plateau of beta HCG. And what are the classifications of metastatic GTN? Some are divided into good prognosis and some are bad prognosis. The features of bad prognosis are long duration, greater than 4 months from antecedent pregnancy, high pre-treatment beta HCG titer. If there is pre-treatment, before treatment, beta HCG titer are greater than 100,000 international unit per 24-hour urine or greater than 40,000 international unit per liter of blood. So it is a bad prognosis pre-treatment if beta HCG are higher this much. Brain or liver mets are also bad prognosis prior chemotherapy or metastatic disease following the term pregnancy. And the good prognosis characterized by the absence of each of these features. Now, what are the investigations? We see beta HCG is very high. Ultrasound pelvis uterine mass can be seen. CT MRI extragonadal choriocarcinoma. Biopsy should be avoided because of increased risk of bleeding. On chest X-ray there will be cannonball appearance. CT brain we should do if CT brain comes out negative, so we should consider lumbar puncture for rise in beta HCG. What are the investigations for staging? Blood work, CBC, electrolytes, creatinine, beta HCG, TSH, LFTs. In imaging, chest X-ray, ultrasound pelvis, CT abdomen, pelvis and CT brain. If we suspect brain mets, we should do lumbar puncture for rise in beta HCG in CSF. And if the ratio of beta HCG in plasma, if we see that beta HCG in plasma to CSF beta HCG is less than 60, that it indicates mets, that there is metastasis. So what is the FIGO staging and management of the malignant GTN? The stage 1 is disease confined to uterine corpus. We will do single agent chemotherapy for low risk. First line pulse actinomycin D. Alternatives are methotrexate based regimen. 20% of patients need to switch to alternate single agent regimen due to failure of beta HCG to return to normal. The combination chemotherapy when we use, it is EMA-CO. What is EMA-CO? It is etoposide, methotrexate, actinomycin 1, which is followed by cyclophosphamide and vincristine a week later. If high risk or if resistant to single agent chemotherapy, then we use combination chemotherapy. Can consider hysterectomy if fertility is not desired or placental site trophoblastic tumor. The stage 2 is metastatic disease to genital structures. The same treatment. In stage 3, metastatic disease to lungs with or without genital tract involvement. The same treatment management. In stage 4, distant met sites including brain, liver, kidney, GIT tract, usually high risk. We will then use EMA-CO with surgical dissection of sites of the disease. Surgical dissection of the sites of the disease and consider radiation for brain metastasis. So Let's see few MCQs. What is the criterion standard for identifying both complete and partial molar pregnancy? So we have discussed the gold standard is ultrasound. A 34-year-old woman presents to her doctor because she thinks she is pregnant but is frightened because she had lot of bleeding yesterday with clumps that look grape-like. She is very worried and upset. Which of the following she is likely have? So the clumps that are grape-like is mostly molar pregnancy. In a complete hereditary form mole, what are the origins of the chromosome? We have discussed in complete mole there is fertilization of an empty egg with one sperm. So all the chromosomes are from paternal side. So and it is a diploid, so there is paternal diploid. So hope you have understood few important points about gestational trophoblastic diseases. Thank you.